Hello, beautiful soul. It's Lynda Gaiao here. This week's energy transit report is going to really cover two separate traits. We're going to look at the 64 and the 47. The 64 has been around for the last couple of days, and as of tomorrow, we're moving into the 47. And so the interesting thing about this is the 64 and the 47 actually form a full strength. So they're two traits that follow in sequence one after the other, but they actually form a full channel. Now, when we're looking at the 64, this is confusion, and the confusion really is the precursor to some kind of completion happening. And what you see happening here is it's about the past and it's about your experiences. And you can maybe think of it as forming a collage of some kind of memories of experiences or images from the past. And you might lay them all out at first, and at first you don't really see any kind of sequence, you don't see any kind of pattern, you don't see any kind of order. But you allow the confusion to just be there, you just allow it to happen, and you may step in and you move a few pieces around, and then you need to step away again. And over a period of time, what will happen is at some point, something will emerge from all these separate and seemingly disparate pieces of information, and some kind of aha moment will surface out of that. Now, this is a projected channel, which essentially means that it is here to be invited and to share. So, in human design, we have a decision-making strategy, or in BG5, and the whole purpose of having a decision-making strategy is to use that to navigate your life. But what happens in a distorted lens is that people start to use their channels as a decision-making strategy, or the energy that's around as a decision-making strategy. And because, we're looking at the head, or the inspiration to conceptualization, to the Ajna center, what happens here is that we have pressure. We have pressure to come to an aha, to come to a realization. And that pressure, if we allow that to control or rule us, will ultimately lead to expanding and amplifying the confusion, and it will actually trigger anxiety for us. If we turn this pressure inwards, if we turn this confusion inwards as a way to try to resolve the confusion inside of us, to try to create an aha about our own mental process or our own lives, this once again is just going to lead to some level of paranoia, and maybe even some kind of bordering on psychotic episodes, because this is not designed to be used for ourselves, for our own lives. It's meant to be shared with others. So it's fantastic when you connecting with another being, or you're solving a problem for someone else, where they've asked you for your input, where they've asked you for this energy that you bring to the table. And what it means is, they share the pieces, they share their problems or their experiences from the past, and you're able to then sort through the confusion, and what will happen in its own timing is this aha will pop out of all of these pieces, and then you can go, well, this is what I see, this is what I can share with you. So now if we take a look at the other side, the 47, which is realization, this is the actual aha. And so this trait brings the ability for you to consider and to see all the different possibilities that are out there, and you then have this mental capacity to be able to review all of them. If you think about somebody who is a film editor, when they film a movie, for example, they don't film it in order. They film this scene, and they film that piece, and they film that piece. So it's essentially a lot of disparate pieces, and there may be many possibilities of how you can link all of those pieces together to create the final product. And so it's an extremely creative process, and the creativity comes in when you just allow all the possibilities to be there, and you filter and sort through, and then ultimately something will come out, some type of creative realization, which creates this completed product. Now, there's often many different ways to connect the dots or to create a finalized product. So it's really important to not have an attachment to this outcome or this realization that you come to for the others. Remember, this is a projected strength, so it needs to be invited and it's here to be shared with the other. And so if you have an attachment, or you try to kind of say to the person, like, this is the ultimate truth because this is what I've come to, then you can get kind of a little bit into iffy waters here. Because ultimately there are many different possibilities, and it's just about the energy at that time, the realization at that time. So if we can let go of the attachment to the realization we come to and just let it be, then knowing that in the next moment or in the next week or the month, there may be a completely different realization that comes out of this process. And just if you're a builder or a generator in human design, and you're finding at the moment that you're feeling really confused, there's a lot of pressure, maybe even some anxiety, and you feel like you've got all these disparate pieces and you're not really sure how to make sense out of them, connect with someone else, find someone else, call a friend and just say, look, these are the pieces, what do you see? Because the energy of this particular channel is around bonding, which means it's about connecting with other beings to come to this place of clarity, to come to this place of realization. So, looking at the past week and going forward into the next week, there's some tips for you. So start looking at where you feel pressured to sort through confusion or to come to a decision from a place of pressure. And really just start to be a witness to that, and then just step into the confusion, allow it to be, and embrace this creative process that comes out of the confusion and ultimately leads to the realization. And if you're finding yourself being moved into action through the pressure, try to bring some awareness to that and just stop that process, pick up the phone, call a friend, and then work together. Allow them to bring this energy that we were all going to be experiencing at the moment to create some kind of flow, some kind of creative piecing together that's ultimately going to lead to some type of aha or realization. If you can, just try to let that pressure and that confusion go, because if you turn it inwards, it's going to be extremely there's going to be a lot of anxiety for you, and it's going to be quite difficult to deal with, and it can really disturb your whole process. You kind of want to think about the resolving of some kind of confusion, similar to, if you're a gardener, to having some kind of fruit that's ripening on the plant. If you feel pressured to eat that fruit now, or perhaps you're selling it to ship it off for sale, and you pick it from the tree before the timing is right, yes, maybe you can still eat the fruit, maybe you can still make money out of it, but the quality of that fruit or the deliciousness of the taste of it is going to be seriously different than if you just allow, all the outside forces to bring whatever they need to the plant and to the fruit to ripen it perfectly. And you ultimately want to come to this place of not being moved by the pressure and just waiting for the right timing, and just allowing that fruit to kind of drop down into your hand at the perfect timing. And when you eat it, you're just like, oh my goodness, that's the best fruit I've ever eaten in my life. And you ultimately want to get to this place of getting that realization to be this gorgeous, amazing thing for you, rather than, pushing the timing or trying to make things happen. This particular channel is also linked to emotional intelligence, and whenever we are looking at something with emotional intelligence, we need time. We need time for the experience to ruminate, to allow it to sit, and then the creative process, the learning from that experience will come over time. Sometimes what can happen with people is if they go through an experience, mentally we can create some kind of blame or shame around this experience that we went through. And instead of allowing that shame to prevent you from pulling the teaching moment out of that, just sit in your vulnerability and allow that teaching moment to emerge from that. our past can really inform a lot about our future, but only when we allow the learning to surface in its own timing. I'd also encourage you to really be careful about not making decisions from any kind of mental pressure, because this is just going to lead to stress, it's going to deepen the confusion, and it's going to trigger anxiety in your life. There is going to be pressure, so just be aware of it and try to really drop into your decision-making strategy and make decisions only from that place. One way to become aware of this is where do you feel like you're pushing yourself to try and figure something out? And if you become aware and you notice that, then that's a place to just stop and go, like, why am I pushing myself to figure this out? Also, you may want to pay attention to where are other people inviting you to share your insights or what you see. And if that feels correct for you, if it is correct, you can step in there and by all means, tap into this beautiful creative energy that we're going to feel for the next week and help them to come to some kind of aha or realization through their confusion. It's also an experiential process, and what that essentially means is in the moment of having an experience, we don't always know why we've had that experience or what that experience means in the greater scheme of things. But over time, the truth will reveal itself to us. So being really mindful of not trying to push anything to come to a resolution or to find this aha, in our timing. Just allow it to surface in its own timing. So there's some beautiful creative energy coming up for us now. And, if you're somebody that's guiding other people through any type of process, this is a beautiful time to potentially reach out to your clients and say, like, if you're really struggling with a lot of confusion and you're not really sure how to piece all the pieces together, let's set up a session in the next week so I can bring this creative energy to help you to connect the dots. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to the energy of next week, and I'd love to hear your comments or for you to share any of your experiences around how you've brought this energy to life in your own business or in your own world. I hope you have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.